you all join me in the pledge to the flag, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Last May, we had 3 trustees who were actually re-elected. Head law, Robert Sweeney, Pete Van Middlem. Gentlemen, at this time, Maureen Florio will administer the oath.
Please raise your hand. Repeat after me. I, please state your name.
I
Do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States,
to support the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and to faithfully discharge
and to faithfully discharge
the duties of
the duties of
board member
board member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, this July 6th meeting is our reorganization meeting, and this evening we'll have the election of our officers. So at this time, we will take nominations for president. Pete?
I nominate Robert Sweeney.
Second.
By Pete. Nominated, seconded by Glenn. Are there any other nominations? Vice?
I nominate Lynn Capabianco. Second.
Seconded by Ed. So we have 2, any others? Okay, we have 2 candidates, 2 trustees are nominated, so at this time, let's show of hands. Those in favor of Robert Sweeney for president, raise your hand, please. Count 3. Those in favor of Lynn Capabianco for president, raise your hand, please. I count 4. So at this time, now we do nominations for vice president. Would someone like to make a nomination for vice president?
I nominate Mike Riccio.
Okay,
Second.
seconded by Lynn.
I nominate Pete Van Middlem.
I second.
Okay. Again, so show of hands, we have 2 candidates. Those who vote for Mike Riggio, please raise, show your hands. 1, 2, 4. Those who vote for Pete Van Middlem, please raise your hands. And I have 3. Only do have that. Okay, congratulations, Mike. So at this time, with the new officers, please receive the administration of the oath by Maureen Florio.
I, Mike Riccio,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States, that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of New York, and the
Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of
the duties of
President
Vice President
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. So at this time, President Capabianco, you take over the meeting.
Thank you. Just a reminder, we're being videotaped. Thank you to Joe for doing that. We're live streamed on Facebook as well, so thank you for doing that. We're doing school district officer board appointees. Mike, could you do that as a board member?
Sure. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves appointments 1 through 5 as listed. 1, appointment of district clerk Maureen Florio. 2, appointment of district treasurer Lady Kirichenko. 3, appointment of deputy district treasurer. 4, appointment of claims auditor Marie Johnson. And 5, appointment of deputy claims auditor Lisa Kroll.
Comments? All in favor?
second that, Chris.
Thank you. It's been a long time. Thank you, Ed. Now on to the comments. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Carried?
Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves appointments 1 through 22 as listed. 1, appointment of school physician Dr. John Gill. 2, appointment of school attorney Kevin Seaman. 3, appointment of external auditor Colin Antonowski. 4, appointment of internal auditor Rizzi, Schwartz, and Durakis. 5, appointment of purchasing agents. 6, appointment of extra classroom funds personnel. Central Treasurer Maureen Florio, High School Chief Facility Office Counselor Robert Grable, and Middle School Chief, Counselor Peter Palmiteris. 7, appointment of Title 11 Elizabeth Hine. 8, appointment of Health Education Coordinator Scott Ray. 9, appointment of Attendance Officers Rod Catlin, Robert Grable, and Peter Palmiteris. 10, appointment of Record Access Officer Maureen Florio. 11, appointment of Records Management Officer Superintendent of Schools. 12, appointment of Asbestos LEA Designee Dwight Lucas. 13, appointment of Board of Registration. 14, appointment of District Committee and Special Education members as listed. 15, appointment of Elementary Subcommittee and Special Education members as listed. 16, appointment of Middle School Subcommittee on Special Education members as listed. 17, appointment of High School Subcommittee on Special Education members as listed. 18, appointment of Committee on Preschool Education members as listed. 19, appointment of bond counselors. 20, appointment of Audit Committee. 21, appointment of District Employee to collect certified payrolls. 22, appointment of District DASA Coordinator.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Any comments on any of those appointments? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Leader designations.
Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the designations 1 through 4 as follows. Designation of bank depositories and Mount Sinai School Board of Education hereby designates the following banks as the depositories for the fiscal year 2017-18. In addition, Mount Sinai Board of Education hereby designates J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, Bank of New York, Citibank, and Bank of America for accepting quotes on certificates of deposits.
Second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ed. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Ed, designation of newspaper.
Designation of official newspapers, Port Times, Record, and Newsday. The Mount Sinai Board of Education hereby designates the Village Beacon Record newspaper and Newsday as the Mount Sinai School District official newspapers for the fiscal year 2017 to 18.
I'll second.
Comment? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Bob, architect?
Appointment of architects. The Mount Sinai Board of Education hereby designates H2M Group as the district's architectural firm for the fiscal year 2017-18.
Second.
Thank you, Lynn. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Any cash, Lynn?
Designation of petty cash officers. The Mount Sinai Board of Education hereby designates the following persons as petty cash officers for the fiscal year 2017-18. Elementary school, $100 principal; middle school, $100 principal; senior high school, $100 principal; district office, $100 executive administrative assistant; home economics department, $100 home teacher and principal of middle school and high school; and interscholastics, $100 athletic director.
Lynn?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Mike, financial management?
Sure, internal financial management procedures. The Mount Sinai Board of Education will continue for the fiscal year 2017-18. Its present policy regarding authority to sign checks wherein the payroll account checks require the signature or facsimile signature of the treasurer or deputy treasurer. All other accounts require 2 signatures or facsimile signatures of either the president or district clerk and the treasury or deputy treasurer, and checks in the amount of $10,000 or greater require live signatures except for checks in remittance of payroll taxes, payroll and employee deductions, checks for inter-account transfers, checks to reimburse the lunch contractor, checks to reimburse the bus contractor, checks in payment of utility services when delayed may result in late penalties, and finally, checks in payment of school insurance premiums.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Carrie, why?
Sure. G, wire transfers. The Mount Sinai Board of Education hereby authorizes the treasurer of deputy treasurer or deputy treasurer to make wire transfers for the fiscal year 2017.
Second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ed. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. H, bonding.
H, bonding. The Mount Sinai Board of Education hereby establishes the amount of the bonding of the district treasurer to be $1 million for the fiscal year 2017-18.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Ed?
Authorizations. 1, state reports. The Mount Sinai Board of Education hereby authorizes the signature of either the superintendent or executive administrative assistant on health, federal, and state reports for the 2017-18 fiscal year.
Second.
Second.
Thanks, Mike. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried.
2, payroll certification officers. The Mount Sinai Board of Education hereby authorizes the signature of either the superintendent or executive administrative assistant to certify payrolls for the 2017-18 fiscal year.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Bob, other?
Other, Mount Sinai Board of Education hereby readopts all policies and code of ethics in effect during the previous year.
Second.
Thank you, Lynn. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. That was our reorganization part of meeting.
Did you
Did I end?
go and read the minute?
I did, yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay.
Please read those. Thank you.
Results upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby accepts the minutes of the June 13, 2017 meeting as submitted.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Before we go to the question and answer period, Mr. Brasdale would like to give the superintendent's message.
Does some of the board join me down below in the audience with this message, please? Two weeks ago, we received, I'm saying Rob Rabel and I received a few emails, phone calls, and even some of the board members saw a jot form, questioning why we weigh our Regents exam, or why it's 1/5 of students' final grade. 20%, which has been historically for years. And in those emails are also referencing, and I think this is the driving motivation behind questioning it, was Dr. Rella from Comstock. His new philosophy is the Regents exams won't be counted unless they help a student. Okay? So we're going to look at a few things. Normally every year, and we're going to do this in more detail in the fall as we do when we look at all of our assessments and our Regents scores. But I think to answer these parents, Granted, we have 1,000 parents between 8 through 12, this was 7 of them, but regardless if it were 1, we would still give them their attention, give them their answer, show them why we weigh at 20%. Okay? And I will also have in those comparisons Comstock School District, which we don't usually compare against because we're different than Comstock. And I'll point out the various reasons for it. Okay, the first thing I want to look at, neighboring districts. How many count the Regents as 20% or 1/5 of the final average? Middle Country does. I spoke to Roberta about it. Mount Sinai, us. Elwood, and I talked to Ken because, we work very closely when it's in Port Jeff. And Elwood's like a mirror of this district. The board has said that before. They have 3 schools. Our population is very similar. And Ken feels we need to make the students feel that this is important to try their best on the Regents exam. Mike Ring in Stony Brook, to quote him, said why they keep it at 20% is the students have to have skin in the game. I don't necessarily like that phrase, but in other words, you have to have accountability and you want your students to do their best. Now, you can go back a few years and look at the argument about state assessments in 8th grade when everyone all over the island wondered what was going on in 8th grade, why the scores were so low. Is how many students will honestly try their best when the exam doesn't count? They're not graded, they're not in their average, it doesn't matter how they do. And that's the question that's going to linger when we go through this presentation. Port Jefferson, Dr. Cassiano, is 20%. I mentioned Mike Ring, Hop and my friends, former friends, and William Floyd is 20%. Because a lot of those kids need that Regents exam to pass and graduate, but it also helps their final average. There are districts, not everyone has 20%. Comstock, I just mentioned, the new philosophy is only count it, Dr. Rella, only count it if it helps a student. Miller Place went down to 10%. I will be revealing some numbers. We do compare against Miller Place every year, and actually I live there and I'm a little disappointed in what the numbers reveal. Sean Wading River, this was a wild phone call. We count some exams on the Regents as 10% and others as 20. I go, how the heck do you do that? Or do you like an exam better if you count at 20 or 10? So some are 20, some are 10. Longwood, some are 10, some are 20. So actually you can split them on the first page or over here. Sayville is at 10% and Free Village is at 12. May I add that Miller Place, Sayville, and Free Village have midterm exams. We don't. So their midterms, although that looks lower, their midterms count in the final average. So, again, Dr. Ella being brought up, and Comstock mentioned with Mount Sinai, I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to compare our Regents results this year? So here you go. Comstock, U.S. History and Government, 85, Mount Sinai, 97. 12% difference. Geometry Common Core, granted, a difficult test. Comstock, 48% passing. Mount Sinai, 83, 35% point difference. Global, 80, Mount Sinai, 98. And I gotta tell you, Global is not an easy exam, it's a 2-year exam. Being in my former district and looking at the region scores in Mount Sinai, which I did a lot that spring before I applied here, and I actually brought in my directions and said, you've got to see these scores at Mount Sinai, because I must be dreaming. Who has scores as high as we struggled in William Floyd for passing grades? But Global and 98%. Algebra 1, Common Core, one of the most recent. 76 versus our 99%, 23%, 23% difference. Physics, 77, 84. Living environment, 81, Comstock, 100% Mount Sinai. Chemistry, 80, 97. Earth science, 82, 92. ELA, 92. They have a strong one. And 97 here. And in Algebra 2, Common Core, 97 to 99. Clearly, our kids score better. And that's one of the reasons I was directed twice. Parents requested specifically, would love to see us compared to a district that does not count the exam. I just did. Okay, now some of these districts we do normally compare to, and you've heard them all the time. Free Village, Port Jeff, Miller Place, Sayville, and Elwood, we compare our results to, but please look at these results. This is just last year, only because I don't have all of those for this year yet, the official numbers. So our graduation rate, which has been steady for the last few years, is 98%, Commonwealth 86, which by the way, theirs has dropped pretty heavy in the last 2 years. It'll be interesting to see what the rate is for this year. 97 in Free Village, 96 Port Jeff, 96 Miller Place, 95 in Sayville. We're ahead of all of them. I'm very proud to say that. But what's more unique than just the graduation rate is regions with advanced diplomas. In our district, 73% advanced with designations, advanced or advanced with honors. 73%. 22, I never thought I'd say this in my life, regular Regents diplomas. Because where I came from, any Regents diploma was worth $1 million. And Ms. Bowie is saying yes too, because she knows the special ed world, right? Yes. So 22%. We go to Consulate, 43% with designation, 39% Regents diplomas, Free Village 62 and 31, Port Jeff 68, 28, Miller Place. And I got to tell you folks, this one stuck. And I was talking to John Gentilcourt's wife before the board arrived just a short while ago, and I said, I could not believe that Regents with advanced designation was 45 versus 46 a regular Regents diploma. So they're more regular than advanced with designation. To me, that things are changing a little bit there in Miller Place. And you can see that sticks out among those other districts up there. But that's my conversation with Mary Ann, which I will have. And then you have the local diplomas underneath. But what I was able to get, I don't have the official numbers for those districts, but I do have our official numbers of this year. Can we get much better than that? Yes. And we did. Still 98% graduation rate. But look at this. Regents with designation, advanced with honors, is now 80% diplomas, advanced diplomas, and 16% regular Regents diplomas. And of course, 97% of our kids go to college. Very proud of these numbers, and they're consistent. Now, the initial discussion, why 20%? I think I showed a reason that, well, right now, it works for Mount Sinai. It works for us. But you can't just say, okay, the Regents just helps the student. Let's not count the Regents exam for anything else. But there are more stakeholders than the students in this whole discussion. You have students, because it's 20% of the final grade. Well, what about the teachers? 50% of their APPR rating is the Regents exam. 50%. So do you ignore them and say that teachers don't matter? The principal's APPR score is based on student results. The district, particularly the high school building, is based on Regents scores. And people come to Mount Sinai because of this district and what the school district is all about. And we know that. That's why homes sell in 3 to 4 weeks here and not in many other places. That's why you go to any dinner, any honor dinner, and you sit there and you talk to others or gentlemen who work in other districts like Pete and I did that Monday night. And those two gentlemen happened to work where? Counselor. And they weren't happy about what is happening, not counting the Regents. And it happens that Frank LaBianca is somewhere in the country at a lacrosse event and hearing parents from the neighboring district complaining too about their kids failing geometry so bad. Okay? And that all happened around the same time, so it's kind of interesting. I don't know if everybody's happy with that new philosophy, especially if your graduation rate's going down. But the community, this school district is unique, and it's the heart of the community here in Mount Sinai. We don't have a village, there's no town. This is it, this is where everything happens. That's why buildings run 24/7, athletic fields run 24/7. It's a great place. And I believe the values and where our kids go to school is because we have that high expectations and our kids reach those expectations. We set the bar and they're able to reach it. Now, I'll say this with a little pride too. We are high school, Rewards High School. I have it right here. Mary Ellen Upstate mailed it to me personally. No, we have this. It's 2017-18 Reward Certificate. Second year in a row. And to make that category, just part of the criteria, you have to be in the top 20% of the high schools in New York State. And the rewards designation is determined by how well your kids do on the math and ELA. And you are picked to be a reward school. Out of all of New York State, I believe there are 360 in the entire New York State. And 95, here's a word you haven't heard in a while, 95 kids a year in all the groups who take it have to participate, and we were well above 95% participation. Second year in a row, we're very proud of it, because there aren't a lot of them. Also, we all know this because I touted it online, on the website, everywhere. Out of the top 500 schools in the nation, selected by Newsweek, we're 358. And it was a little, I couldn't understand it, but I was happy that Port Jeff was 460. And I love you, Paul and Ken. I do. But I like being ahead of those groups. Here's the interesting thing. Three Village is not a reward school. And all I hear constantly, Three Village, Three Village, Three Village. They're not. And I'll tell you what, out of 1,208 schools, they're not 169. We're 169 out of 1,208 high schools by school digger. That's a realistic. If you're looking to move in a district, that's where you look. The neighboring district that was, people asked me to look at, compare ourselves to that neighboring district, is number 628, and is not in the top 50%. 628. So by looking at all of this, no, we're not ComSwag. I like Joe Rella personally as a gentleman and a man. I've talked to him numerous times, but I never aligned to his philosophies because I think kids should be accountable. There should be expectations in the district because kids can rise to expectations. I've seen it in my former district. A lot of things don't have to be verbalized in Mount Sinai. They're understood when kids come into school here. Again, Pete, the discussion we had at that athletic dinner was from them. Our kids don't go to the schools Mount Sinai kids go to after graduation. And that's coming from them. So we're kind of different. You know what? They have a more diverse population. I have to give them that. It's a different, diverse population. But I have seen in districts, Floyd is a very diverse district, and we got the graduation rate from 61 to 82% this year, and ComSwag's just a little above that. They're more diverse than ComSwag is. And they're not, ComSwag is not poverty. And the reason why is we raised those expectations in that district 10 years ago. Because kids can do it. If you believe it, they can do it. And that's what we believe here. We have high expectations. So that's really it for me. But I think you could see by the comparison, and you'll see more in the fall, we did an outstanding job again this year on our Regents exams. We are ahead of the districts we've compared to. Now don't forget, do you remember just 3 years ago when we were right next to Three Village? Right next to Port Jeff? Right next to Sayville? Now we're pulling ahead. I would not be I would believe that maybe in a few years, they have to review and look at, was it lowering from 20 to 10 a good idea? Was it good in 3 Villages to lower from 20 to 12? I was surprised. I don't know, you know, and it's funny how parents accuse you of a lot of different things, but it works. So we lower it and we go down to 10 or 12. Then we add a midterm. What do I hear now? Over-testing. They'll be accused of over-testing. And here's the thing you've got to really understand in the average when you look at it. What is a quarterly average? Quizzes, attendance, participation, projects, oral reports, you know, all of these things. Homeworks. But what the Regents exam is the true final exam of 4 quarters of sticking to the New York State curriculum. That's the final exam by New York State, measuring what was learned and understood from those 4 quarters of that instruction. It's not like a quarterly grade. It's different. Our initial, there's a meeting today, and we'll be meeting again, but initial looking at our 20%. Here's the interesting point. It seems to be helping the average student, or even low-performing student, raising their grade a point or 2, and yet the high-performing student, who might, because of their classwork, their participation class, might be in the higher 90s, they might be hurt by a point or 2. So what we're going to run is some dummy percents to see, can you ever even that out? Will you ever even that out? So that's the initial part, but we're going to meet through the summer to really be sure. But right now, what I am hearing from principals and directors is, why do you want to mess with what's working? Based on what we have, what is the evidence that this doesn't work? That's the story, because it is working. And we seem to be rising above other districts. And when Miller played, a lot of them were very honest. We're worried about our special ed kids passing, with it weighing 20%, and we're worried about our geometry scores, so we lowered it. That's not a good enough reason for me. That was safe. So, you know, I would put our numbers up against anybody. And the thing where we're moving towards, which I'm very, very proud of, and I know you all know the young lady, the woman who was in the audience always saying it, when are we going to be like Jericho? Everyone knows what I'm talking about. We are getting close to Jericho right now. So that's what we aspire to. That's where our bar is. We want to be with the highest performing districts. I don't know if you're going to do that when you say, you know what, it's not going to count as much. We won't make it count that much. We'll lower it. I wonder, will kids try their best if you lower that? Will they try as hard as they do now? And then, if you don't count it, I wonder in the districts who don't count it, what their teachers' APPR scores are. What do you think those math teachers' APPR scores in our neighboring district with 48% geometry? They might be ineffective. You know what they say? You're ineffective for a few years, you could lose your job. 2, yes, you know that. 2 years, and you could be gone. I want to be in a district that performs well, good Regents scores, and I know the kids take it seriously. And I got to tell you, you walk through the hallways in the last few weeks, even months in school, and you'll see how hard they're all working, the teachers and the kids, because they mean a lot. There's a lot, and that's what I'm saying. I understand parents, you know, being advocates for their child and worrying about that and hearing about, well, it might not count and hurt their grade, but they're not the only stakeholders. Your principals rely on it, your teachers rely on it 50%, and your community reputation. And I think Mount Sinai's in a good place as we speak. I'm finished. And Joe, thanks for taking Ken's place tonight and sitting in. Appreciate it. And now those in the audience are our 2 candidates in District 1. We'll hear their names. God, thanks for coming.
Push me out.
any general questions, but this one should be related to the agenda. Are there any questions? Okay, moving on to instructional appointments. Mike?
Sure. Instructional appointments, 1. Foreign language teacher, Erin Pike. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following probationary appointment. Name of employee, Erin Pike. Appointment date, August 29, 2017. Expiration, August 28, 2021. Tenure, foreign language, compensation, step A, comma BA, and certification status is initial.
Thank you, Mike. Second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ed. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Carried, foreign language?
Sure. 2, foreign language teacher Connor Cicillo. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following probationary appointment. Connor Cicillo, appointed on August 29, 2017. The expiration of appointment is August 28, 2021. In the area of foreign language, its compensation will be step A at the MA level. Certification status is initial.
And Connor's here this evening.
Connor?
Connor, congratulations.
Almost congratulations. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ed. All in favor?
You're going to jump.
Opposed? Carried. Congratulations and welcome. Okay. Next, Peter, on English.
Number 3, English teacher Kelly Duran. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following probationary appointment. Kelly Duran, appointment date August 29, 2017. Expiration of appointment August 28, 2021. English teacher, step A, MA, initial.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you, Lynn. Any comments?
Just a quick comment. I'm going to abstain because Kelly is my son's tutor, which I take pride in, and would vote multiple times.
Early and often?
Yes, choosing to abstain.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kelly, thanks for being here too, like Connor, and you're in great company. Pat Valley, we just recently honored her at graduation. And Pat, thanks for coming. I observed Kelly personally and was very impressed. We had 3 leave replacements we actually looked at, 2 being in the high school, and Kelly working in the middle school, and I felt, and I went in the company with other administrators, but I felt hands down that Kelly was the best candidate, and that's why she's here tonight. Congratulations, it was a great thing.
So any other comments? Okay.
Her expiration of appointment should be 2020. She has 1 year treatment credit
Okay.
from last
So
year.
let's change that. August 28th, 2020 is the
Warren,
expiration.
could you just denote I have to abstain also, Mr. Randall's fan. So the parents and my brother are very friends.
Okay.
So no reflection on her otherwise. More than Mr. Sweeney.
Nobody else better draw that.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor? Opposed?
Oh, I was
So
supposed
that-
to vote. I got lost.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
All right, so that would be 5 of us. Opposed, 0. Abstained,
2.
2. Thank you. Motion carried. Congratulations. All right, we're up to phys ed. Phys ed.
Physical education, Brandon Loomis. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following part-time appointment for Brandon Loomis, effective August 29, 2017, in the area of physical education at Step A, MA, at a .8 position, initial certification.
Good.
Second.
Second?
Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, Bob, non-instructional?
Non-instructional office application specialist. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves the following appointment. Jamie Sherbert, August 1st, 2017, is an appointment date, office application specialist, compensation step 3, clerk typist column.
Second.
Thank you, Lynn.
Service position.
Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? 1.
2 Do we want to just explain what she is, or not?
Office application specialist.
Yes, I
Not
know.
very clear.
No,
She's-
that's all right.
She's Ken's right-hand person, helps him with things when he's busy being, don't forget, he's, other than the director, he's also a tech, working tech in the district. And when he's overwhelmed, busy, she's able to sit in and fulfill office obligations, and she knows his job. Maureen, anything else you want to say?
She's able to help, people technically over the phone. A lot of times she can walk someone through, a minor issue, which is a great help.
Right.
And if
Yeah.
Joe wasn't here tonight, Jamie would be here doing this as well.
Sure.
Okay, thanks, so that motion carried. Energy manager, Lynn?
Yep. Energy manager, resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby appoints Chris Heil as energy education manager for 2017-18 fiscal year at the rate of $35 per hour, not to exceed $15,000.
Thank you, Mike. Any comments?
Just want to mention, this was created years ago when we had Johnson Controls as a contractor, and it was a requirement of their contract. That's no longer the case. Not so sure of its usefulness anymore. We've limited it to $15,000, but it seems that it's gone to the maximum. I'm not so sure this is a position that's necessary under the longer and I intend to vote no.
Don't we have a handout, Maureen, to distribute to the board of the meeting regarding that position? Unfortunately, Linda couldn't be here this evening, but I asked her, I said, is there still a savings? And she confirmed that there was. So, perhaps she could fill the board in more detail about the amount of saved.
I would make a motion to table the motion pending, given that we're giving this well after the agenda.
I would second that motion. Did you make a motion to read this?
I did.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Okay, so there's a motion to table this resolution and
Any more information?
pending more information. Thank you. And that was, Bob made that motion, Lynn is seconding it, and is there any comment on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried. We will move or table this until next month. We've had a chance to read more. Thank you.
Adult education.
Okay, so it's Mike.
Sure, adult education. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby appoints Elizabeth Hine as the adult education director for the 2017-18 fiscal year as per the administrator's contract.
Second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ed. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Carrie, substitute teacher.
Sure. Substitute teacher dispatcher. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby appoints Matthew Darrow as the substitute teacher dispatcher for the 2017-18 fiscal year as per the administrator's contract.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Pete, action items?
Action items, Committee on Special Education, resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education has no objections to the following special education recommendations and approves the authorizations for the funds to implement the special education programs and services consistent with such as listed.
Second.
Pete, thank you, Mike. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? It's carried.
obsolete equipment. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby declares the following items as obsolete and further authorizes disposal as listed.
Ed,
I'll second.
Bob?
Who we had a hot air balloon? I missed that.
I did too. So, any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Find it in the Discord.
Yeah.
All right, Pete, you want to do championship rings?
Thank you. C, championship rings, resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby acknowledges the following individuals, organizations for the purchase of championship rings from Jostens for the girls' varsity lacrosse team. The Mount Sinai Teachers Association graciously donated $500. There was an anonymous donor of $1,000.
Thank you, Anonymous. That's great.
Second.
Second, thank you, Mike. Any other comments?
Just thank you for both, to both the MSBA and the anonymous donor for their generosity.
Where the girls going to build that work with? That's what I want to know.
5.
All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Skip over to Bob, out of district.
Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby extends the out-of-district late bus service transportation contract for the 2017-18 school year to Acme Bus Corporation at the May 2017 Consumer Price Index for all urban consumers, New York, Northeastern New Jersey area.
Second.
Thank you, Lynn. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Lynn, donation?
Donation, resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby accepts a check in the amount of $239.56 donated to Mount Sinai High School through Stop and Shop's A+ program.
Second?
Thank you, Mike. Any comments?
I spent enough there. I
That's you. Stop and Shop, thank you. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Mike, bid award?
Short bid award, resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby awards the bid for breakfast, lunch services to Whitson School Nutrition Corp., the lowest responsible bidder for the cost per meal as indicated below.
I second.
Pete, any comments?
I have a question. During the course of the campaign, there were questions from community members that the school lunch program made a profit. Or assertions. Is that correct?
What was the answer?
Yes.
There was some assertions by
I've read Linda, I don't have the numbers, but.
We'll get them for the board. I believe that money spent is, whatever there is for cafeteria money has to be spent on one of the things dealing with cafeteria as far as I'm
But isn't there a $35,000 gift back?
That's what I recall.
In the update last week.
very strict regulation.
We don't make money. And they are a private company that does get a profit. They don't, it's not a non-for-profit. But this reflects the price per meal for breakfast and lunch. And there is a fee attached to it, the direct cost. It just is explanatory and very upfront. You can also look at the contract that outlines specifically there is a profit to this.
Does the school box, is that linked to Whitson's directly? Because there's always a fee also when you put money on your
NutriKid?
children's account.
That's a different.
So is that a different company?
Correct, that's
So
new.
every time you put money on,
That's a
there's a
different
processing
company.
fee.
Correct. That's a different company unrelated to Whitson
I didn't know if they
that
were-
requires you pay a fee to use their services, their portal, put on the card, so to speak. That's not the Whitson. They transmit it to Whitson's. Whitson's doesn't do NutriKid.
Any other comments? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Last portion of the meeting where community members can ask any question that they would like. Pretty much. Connor and Kelly again. Welcome aboard. Nice to have you here tonight as well. Thank you, community members. Thank you, Joe, for speaking on the need.
Motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Ed.
I'll second.
Thank you, Bob. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? Have a nice summer and see you in August. Thank you.
Thank you.
You got a signature, Bob, before you?